here. We have Rich, who's calling in from New York. We'll take you now, Rich. You are live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Rich, I'm doing fantastic. Rich, how's it going for you?
All right, and how you doing, Blatant?
Hey, I can't complain, brother. How you feeling?
But good. My subject, I think, if you read it, was this has been. Dan, you were having a discussion. This had to be a couple of months ago with a caller talking about. He was a vegan, and he was touching on the fact that animals suffer too much in the wild, right? I don't know if you remember that call, Dan.
I've had several conversations with that theme, but I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I had major problems with it. Major problems with his supposition. Major problems with us butting our nose in. Him saying that animals suffer too much.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. Sorry.
I was about to say, him saying that animals suffer too much in the wild as us anthropomorphizing way too much. Sometimes we just have to stop this. We do so much for the good of animals. Like I hear people say, well, pets are better off because they're with us. I don't think we should be using our judgment on how animals are better off. Yeah, a lion will live 25 years in captivity, walking back and forth in a 100 square foot hole. I found the entire argument, and I found the entire premise going down a very bad path, and we need to stop it. We need to stop talking about how good we are to animals.
No, I agree with you. So wildlife conservation and veganism is an extremely complicated topic. And it's not something that, quite frankly, I don't want to be that guy, but when I talk to people about veganism, I don't think most people have read enough about it for me to honestly have a very good conversation with them. Because it does get into some pretty far ethical conundrums. Wildlife conservation being one of them, right? What is a vegan perspective on wildlife conservation? What are human roles in that? And should there even be human roles is something that's been talked quite a lot about. A common example that's been talked about, of course, is hunting, right? So there's various hunting communities. What about hunter communities that subsist off of, the hunts that they get from deers and things like that? And one response from vegans is, of course, to say, well, look, a lot of these sort of deer populations, and some will claim, oh, this is also a sort of population control as well. We're dealing with stuff that we're actually kind of fixing problems by doing hunting. That's, of course, disregarding the fact that we have entire deer farms and stuff in America, and also like all kinds of places that will restock their hunting, animals or their game so that they can, have hunting seasons and profit from that. But regardless of all of this, right? In my opinion, the vegan perspective on wildlife conservation and wildlife interaction, I think people get confused by this, is, look, a tiger eating its meal as a carnivore, nature, in itself isn't necessarily good or bad. It just is. Okay. That is how life could be. If I could somehow supplement all the tiger diets in the world with a plant-based alternative that isn't going to cause suffering to beings that are capable of suffering, that's great. That's not a thing that exists right now, though, right? And probably won't exist in my lifetime. So we have to deal with what it is and just say, like, this is not something that I can interact with too much. A tiger has to eat, and tigers are carnivores. Tigers have to get their proteins through that method. They can't survive off a plant-based diet. So they don't have to adhere to the kinds of standards that I do for myself. I don't have to eat chickens. I don't have to eat cows to survive for the rest of my life. I can subsist off of a plant-based diet. And therefore, I find it more convincing for myself to do that rather than adhere to an animal that can't do that. This is why people get really confused, because, like, oh, Dan, don't you have a cat? Don't you feed it meat? Yes, I do. Because cats are carnivores. They can't. There are some plant-based foods for cats, but the science isn't, in my opinion, settled on that. The meat I get is leftovers from the industry of cows that are going to be slaughtered. I'm not creating a demand by buying the cat food that I get, right? So it's like it's all part of a larger picture here. But in short, Rich, I think I agree with you in the sense that human beings overall have not had a healthy impact or a healthy relationship with wildlife. If anything, we fucked it up for the most part. And the restoration efforts that we do, one, are few and far in between, but also may not even be beneficial to ecosystems as a whole. Sometimes even by doing our restoration efforts, we fuck things up even further. So it gets very complex very fast. Hopefully I'm making sense here, Rich. Let me know, because I know that was like a monologue of like 3 minutes of me talking or whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I agree with you in many ways. And I always think even veganism in itself is this first world argument. I mean, you go into sub-Saharan Africa, you go into lots of parts of Asia, you even go into parts of the U.S., and this argument of having this perfect vegan diet is not even sustainable. And I have a lot of vegan friends. Well, if we just did all of this and we did all this, I says, we can't get it straight with what we have now. You think all of a sudden when you have to I'm
going to disagree with you, Rich.
It's very strict.
I actually think a plant-based diet for humans is more sustainable than the current systems we have here. And if you don't believe me, and if you think it's a first world thing, I would point you to the country of India, who has been practicing veganism long before we ever came up with the term. And also actually a lot of countries in Southeast Asia primarily consist of vegetarian diets, in some cases vegan diets.
No, I have to disagree with you there on the Indian thing. First of all, yes, India has vegans, but it's not a majority of Indians that have ever been vegan, and that's the fallacy that's put out by the vegan.
No, not vegan, but vegetarian. There is not a subsidized meat industry in India like there is in the United States, right? The government is not paying for cows to be, put for McDonald's hamburgers and stuff, right? Like they do here in the U.S.
No, but this is why I disagree with you on there. As the example, based on a society that's always been that way, is different than looking around the world. Most of the world, the majority of the world has been omnivore. We are omnivore.
Sure.
And to think that we're going to change the world where we go vegan, I think is a misplaced. I find that very misplaced, and I find
Rich, do you think we shouldn't be atheists then, because most people aren't atheists?
No, that's. I don't think. First of all, I don't think you can. I don't think the difference between atheism and that is because as atheists, we say we don't believe there's a God because we have shown no proof of a God. But
Sure.
You cannot tell me that an omnivore diet is not good for human beings and it doesn't work.
Well, that's not the argument, right? What you said is we shouldn't even try because most people aren't vegan. And I'm presenting to you this idea. I'm saying, look, most people in the world are not atheists, right? That has never been the case. Well, actually, that may not be true. For most of since post-farming societies, most people have not been atheists. Okay, right? So, but here I am on this show every week talking about it. Should I just give up because most people aren't this thing?
No. I think it's a weak analogy. My problem with your analogy is this: is that when I talk about the rest of the world, I'm talking about the rest of the world does not have. What's the name of the word? They don't have the privilege to do it. There's a lot of places that don't have the privilege. They don't have the systems. They don't have the logistics and everything. In most places,
but I'm sorry, Rich, I don't want to interrupt you, but does that make it impossible? Because it doesn't exist now, can that infrastructure not be created?
Maybe it can, but I don't think it's necessary. First of all, I find nothing morally wrong with eating animals. Absolutely nothing. I don't find absolutely anything morally wrong to raise an animal to eat it.
Okay, so Rich, do you have a dog? Do you have a dog or cat?
No.
Have you ever had a dog or cat in the past? As a pet?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Would you care if I ate that dog?
That's not the same thing.
No, wait. No, you said you have no problem with people eating. You have no moral problems with people eating animals, but suddenly you care. Why?
No. Wait. Let's step back.
What? No. I'm approaching your claim here. There's no moral problem eating animals.
Yeah.
I mean, your dog, and you're not letting me.
Let's look at it like like he's not coming. I'm sorry.
Animals. Okay.
Wait, no. Let's take a different example. Rich, I have a cat. I have a cat, right? If I cook up my cat tonight for dinner, would you have a problem with that? Let's talk about me.
No. If
you wouldn't have any problems with that.
If you raise, okay. If you raised your cat to eat that cat, I have no problem with it. Just like people have raised cattle every day, they raise goats every day to eat that goat.
Okay.
That's what they raise it for. Now let me answer the question that the proposition that you put to me. To say that because I have no problem with people eating animals. Yes, I have a problem with me going and taking something that belongs to you and you find precious. You're the one who puts the value on that animal, that one animal.
That's what I was going to get at, Rich. Let's say that your pet died of natural causes, and instead of burying it, Dan shows up with $10 and says, "I'll take that off your hands. I'm hungry." Is that okay?
Again. That's false analogy, because we are talking about now something that I made an emotional attachment to. I didn't say you didn't have a right to make an emotional attachment to an animal. That's a totally different argument.
Okay. What if I took a dog out on the street, Rich, that didn't belong to anybody, lived its life independently from human beings, and I ate it? Would you have a moral quandary with that?
No, because people do it in Vietnam, they do it in Thailand, they do it in Laos all the time.
So that dog has no moral value to you whatsoever.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, what if I found a gorilla that was out and about, and I decided to eat that?
If I put a value on saving species.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Wait. These are like the arguments that people make when they talk about should we kill everybody in a village if we think one of them is going to set off an atomic bomb. You are going to the nth degree in this argument. We're not talking about these nth degrees. I'm not talking about
this is something that happens every day. People eating animals happens all the time.
That's right. And I have no problems in the context of people eating animals.
Yeah.
If you go to Vietnam, people eat dogs every day.
I agree, and I don't think it's right.
Because that's what. Because you
that's
have
the difference between yourself and myself.
Because in our society, we have put an emotional bond to that animal, the dog.
I agree.
In Vietnam, in Vietnam, they don't have that. So why is it okay for you to sit up there and say that they're wrong and they have a moral problem because they eat dogs?
Because I believe that animals. Well, let me answer your question. I believe that animals, and mammals in particular, are not that far off from human beings in terms for their capacity to suffer, right? If you look at the integumentary systems, if you look at the systems of nociception, the ability to feel pain, right? There really isn't that much difference between a dog and a person in that respect. There really isn't that much difference between a cow and a person in that respect. Are there difference in processing? Are there difference in understandings? Sure, absolutely. But if we're talking about base levels of pain, base levels of the ability to suffer, I don't think humans are exclusive in that regard. I wouldn't find a baby off the street or a child off the street and cook it and eat it, because I think that child has a capacity to suffer, and I don't want to cause suffering to other beings who have a capacity to suffer. Likewise, dogs, pigs, cows, I think they all have very similar capacities to suffer to that of human beings, and therefore that should be respected if I'm to be consistent in my principles, right? But I don't have to be consistent in my principles. This is a choice that I'm actively making. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. And again, I think again, I have a problem with the analogy that you're making, because you keep anthropomizing too much. Wait, I'm about to answer that.
Are we not animals?
Because you keep putting you keep putting this value of things that are close to human. So how about the penguin? At what point?
I don't think you should eat penguins either, because I think penguins have a capacity to suffer.
Wait. Let me finish. This is my question to you.
Yeah.
At what point does a living organism? At what point do you have to be able to measure the pain in relationship to human beings that make it untenable to eat them? As we're finding about these great root systems that trees talk to each other, trees space to each other out so that the other tree can eat and stuff. At what point do you start finding out information about that tree and how their neurological system works? And all of a sudden, it's not all right to eat
trees being able
this
to
is
quote unquote communicate with each other is not the same thing as a capacity for pain. I think computers can talk to each other too, but I don't think they have a capacity for suffering.
Come on.
Right?
No.
I'm serious. Tell me how trees feel pain. As soon as you've identified that system for me, let me know. But science has not demonstrated that trees can feel pain. That's not a thing. So I have no more. I wouldn't be eating trees, by the way. That's
But this is my point. This is my point exactly. 500 years ago, the knowledge that we have of the animals feeling pain and the levels that they feel in pain and understand that certain animals feel more pain was not there. So therefore, at that time, you would have been fine with it. So this is my problem with your argument. Your problem with your argument is that until you have the knowledge, then you don't have a problem with it. And if we ever find out that the mycelia, what is it? What's that word? Mycelia. When we find out that mycelia under the ground, these great fungal systems feel pain.
Yeah. I don't eat fungus. I don't think people should eat mycelia.
No, it's not. See, you do eat. It's a fungi. So,
right, but Rich, I think morals, having ethics, requires knowledge. Yeah, if you don't have knowledge of certain things, you're going to act and behave differently towards people. I mean, look, there is literally, the history of eugenics is rooted in this idea that people of other races besides white people do not have the same mental capacity as white people, and therefore we are appropriate in treating them differently. That was wrong then, and that was wrong today. Just because more people understand that doesn't mean that it's invalid, right?
No, but I think, again, that's a false analogy because we're talking about human beings. We knew.
Why are human beings exempt? That's a very Christian idea, though. Don't you see that putting human beings at the center of everything, that's all of our moral decisions have to revolve around the interests of human beings? Yeah,
because you know what? We all do that all the time. Your interest, okay, let's take that.
That doesn't make it right.
That argument. Your interest revolves around the interest of the people that you love and you know, and those are the people you're going to protect. That's your littlest tribe. And what happens is that we have this spiral circle that goes out from there, and you start including more and more things. Just like example, we have a problem with fighting. We all want to fight a war with another. You know, it's like two brothers who fight, but if someone yells at one of the other brothers, they both kick your butt.
I 100% agree. Rich, I don't mean to interrupt you, but Peter Singer talks about this concept. It's called the circle of moral consideration, right? And we've expanded our circles of moral consideration. We used to think that women didn't have the same capacity as men, so we didn't give them the right to vote. But now we care about the interests of women, so our circle of moral capacity is increased, right? And so my argument is we have done much progress for human beings in terms of our rights, in terms of our understanding, and in terms of our treatment. I think we need to expand that circle to other conscious beings. And when I use the word conscious, I'm specifically meaning a capacity for suffering. That is my understanding of it. And that is the argument that I make, because I don't see why a dog or a cat or a cow doesn't have why their capacity for suffering is so fundamentally more important than mine. Just because they can't think the same way I do, I don't think that's relevant, because we have babies to consider that can't think the same way I do either, and yet we still consider their interests, right? It's all about, again, just that capacity to suffer. That's really all I care about.
But my question to you is this: you keep using the word suffering. So based on what you're saying there, and let's extrapolate it out to what this other guy was saying then. So that means that the animals suffer so much more in the wild because they have to fight every day. They get killed. You have suicide. You have all these things going on in the wild. Why don't we stop that? Because they're suffering. It's not about we're suffering.
It's different when the suffering is a natural occurrence versus when we're causing the suffering.
Yeah. The thing is, we do try to stop it.
My question, wait.
We spade cats, for example. When we neuter animals because we try to implement measures of population control, because that's something we can do. I can't stop a cat from attacking another cat in the wild. If I could, I guess I would try. I don't know, because like cats don't need to eat other cats to survive or whatever. But like, ultimately we exist in the same system. So yeah, we're limited in our abilities to be perfect about it. But that doesn't mean we can't try or that we shouldn't have any standards whatsoever. I think that's also a fallacy.
But all your standards are very human centric, and all is about being comfortable with you. You just used the example of the cats, and there's so many cats. If we didn't domesticate the cats and we didn't feed them, and if we didn't keep them artificially alive, that would not be the issue. So the issue really is about domestication of cats. So our need and it's not even a need, our penchant to want pets because we think we're doing such a good thing, it goes a far way to causing many of these problems. So I say that if you truly care about the animals, get rid of pets. Stop feeding birds. Stop doing all these things that make us feel good for
low key, Rich. I'm kind of a pet abolitionist.
Feeding those little birds.
No. What you're saying is like I think there's a logical conclusion there, which is why you'll find that many vegans are anti-pets. I mean, they are because one, they like to use the term companion animal instead of pet because it sort of eliminates that hierarchy in the relationship there. But like you also find that vegans who do tend to companion animals, as many vegans like to call it, the standards of well-being and welfare for those animals tends to be very different than the average pet owner. I agree with you. I think most cat and most dog owners in America are shit. I'm 100% with you there. I don't think they should have dogs. Like you're just making my arguments for me here, Rich. I'm on the same page with you. But the cats that I do have are adopted. I don't pay for breeders, right? They are adopted. And my previous cat was had feline leukemia, so he would actually be he would actually give that to other cats if we let him out in the wild. So, I try to if I'm going to have an animal, I want it to be as ethical as possible if they're going to be in my house, but I don't know.
But you see, this is the problem with your argument for me is you're saying, well, I'm a good pet owner. I have not met one person that I have this argument with me and they say, well, it's all those other pet owners. I agree. But people are hypocrites. No one should be a pet owner.
You're probably right. I think ultimately no one should be. Yeah, I unironically agree with you. Yeah.
Yep. And I think if we're going to really talk about, if we truly talk about loving these animals, then we should restrict ourselves. I have this crazy idea that we all live in basically cities, and we have pathways from city to city. We have certain zones where we grow food and everything, and we leave the rest of the world wild. We don't even visit it. We look at it from afar because when we visit it, we fuck it up. Like, for example,
the only thing I'm going to say here is we have the capacity to make this happen, but we cannot create an infrastructure for veganism worldwide. Like that, those don't seem to mesh. Because if we can do that, we can just...
No, I disagree with you in this sense. That what I'm talking about is how we exist in it. I'm talking about we don't have to have urban sprawl. We don't have to have suburban sprawl. We do that because we all want our own little fiefdom of an acre or two with our fence up so that we don't have to look at our neighbor.
I agree, but I think we're going all over the place here.
Yeah.
I know.
Let's try to dial it in just a little bit. I've been talking a lot here also, and I want to make sure Blatant Blatheist gets your piece of it. But let's try to wrap this up in the next minute or two.
Yeah, I was letting you go because I'm at a place where okay, I get it. Yeah, it's morally reprehensible. And then I'm going to go to Burger King at some point this week. Like I'm not there yet, so I'm letting you have it.
I think this conversation has been great, and it's a conversation that it's something I'm trying to fess out, and I don't, because I'm so busy, I don't have time to sit down and really coalesce these thoughts together. And I've done some reading on it, but Dan, when you had that guy on, it sparked me. And
I gotcha.
I love your show. I listen to it all the time, and I'm glad that we had this discussion. We actually didn't yell at each other or curse. I love that. That's cool.
I think I said shit at one point, but it wasn't at you. I think I was talking about pet owners. So
yeah, we didn't curse each other out. Yeah, it was a great conversation.
That was the other reason I was quiet.
If you ever get to Western New York, I hope to meet you. I know I've met a lot of the other guys from, like the atheist community. But yeah, thanks a lot for the call, and I'll let you guys get going.
Thanks, Rich. I really appreciate it. And it wasn't, and sorry you didn't get to participate as much in that Blatant Blatheist. It is kind of a pet topic for me.
I was like, oh, he's going.
Because I am the only vegan host of the atheist community of Austin. And so, and let me tell you this. I see our other hosts, they take the vegan calls and they do it wrong every time. And I'm not afraid to tell them that they do it wrong, but I can't tell them what they can and can't post on these shows. Okay. Look, I've thought a lot about this and I've made the decisions I've made because I have to follow the conclusions of my thought. And what I've found in doing this is that there's a lot of people that do agree with me, like in thought or in spirit at least, but they can't make those commitments themselves in their lives. And I understand that it's hard. It took me months to be able to do that. And I don't blame people for that hesitancy. But I don't want anyone to ever come at me and say that my position doesn't make sense or there's problems with it or, because that is where I'm going to tell you, no, actually, I think I can defend this fairly well. It's not perfect, sure, but what moral position is, right? Like, I truly think that people just haven't thought about this enough and that the arguments they think are really good really just aren't. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. What do you think?
I was with you the whole way. Like, yeah, damn, I probably shouldn't, but I'm just not there yet.
You got to make that decision for yourself. I can't lead a horse to water. Can't make him drink it.